Let me say something blunt because you deserve it right now. These cases are full of emotion. If you're watching this because you've been involved in one, and certainly if you've lost a loved one, let me say I'm so sorry for your loss. What's hard is that you're going through emotional grieving while proving these cases requires an independent factual analysis immediately. In a wrongful death case, you can lose a strong claim in the first few weeks without ever stepping inside of a courtroom. Not because you weren't right, not because your loved one didn't deserve justice, but because the proof just disappeared and the clock kept moving, and the other side quietly built a story that wasn't true. I've seen families do everything the polite way. They wait, they trust the insurance company, they think, we'll handle this once we can breathe again. And then they find out the video got overwritten, or the witness can't remember, the company can't locate the records, and then suddenly the case is an uphill battle. I'm Jason Marker, a wrongful death attorney here in Illinois for over 25 years. And in this video, I'm going to show you 4 steps that protect a wrongful death claim in Illinois. Steps that make it harder for the other side to erase the truth and easier for you to secure the outcome that you need for your family. So let's jump right in. Step 1, protect critical evidence immediately. Here's the rule. Evidence has an expiration date, even when the case doesn't. Traffic cams, store cams, doorbell cams, a lot of it is set to overwrite automatically. And once it's gone, it's gone. So what do you do right now? First, think of it like this. If I had to prove what happened to a stranger who doesn't know my loved one, what would I need them to see? That usually means photos and videos of the scene, if safe, vehicle damage and debris patterns, skid marks, road conditions, and signs, witness names and contact information, and texts, calls, or other application logs connected to the event. Also, company records if a business or a truck is involved. And yes, personal items like clothing, helmets, car seats, all preserved as is. Second, you or your attorney sends a preservation letter fast. This is a written notice demanding that the other side preserve relevant evidence, such as video, the dash cams, the black box data, maintenance records, driver logs, internal emails, whatever applies. Because here's what happens without that letter. The defense later shrugs and says, we don't have it. And now you're arguing about missing evidence instead of arguing about liability. I've seen cases where families waited a few weeks or months because they assumed that the insurance would do the right thing. By the time lawyers got involved, all the surveillance video had been erased. The case still moved forward, but the leverage wasn't the same. The ceiling on the case had dropped. So the payoff for step 1 is this. You're not just grieving, you're securing truth before it disappears. And once you lock down the truth, the next battle is proving who the law holds responsible. Which brings us to step number 2, which is proving fault using the Illinois wrongful death law. A death can be heartbreaking and still not qualify as wrongful in the legal sense. To win a wrongful death claim, you have to show that the person or the company was legally at fault, usually through negligence, sometimes recklessness, and in rare situations, intentional conduct. In plain English, you're proving a chain, that they had a duty to act safely, they violated that duty, that that violation caused the death, and that your family suffered measurable and permanent losses because of it. Now here's where cases get messy. The other side will often try to turn the story into, well, we're not sure, lots of things could have happened, or worse, your loved one contributed to this. Illinois uses a modified comparative fault system. Translation, if your loved one is found more than 50% responsible, recovery can be barred. And if it's 50% or less, damages can be reduced by that percentage. So if the defense can push the narrative from they caused this to it's 50-50, then that changes everything. And I know what you might be thinking. But the police report says it wasn't my person's fault. The police reports help, but they're not the finish line. Because proving fault often means proving what was happening before the crash, the fall, or the incident. Phone records, for example, with someone texting, driver logs, and hours of service in trucking cases. Maintenance and inspection records, training, supervision, and safety policy violations, toxicology and medical records where relevant, and expert reconstruction in very complex incidents. Here's what to do and remember about step 2. You're building a clean, provable story that survives the blame game. But even if you prove fault perfectly, you can still leave serious money and justice on the table if you don't prove the full impact of the loss. That's step 3, which is calculate and prove every category of damages. So let's talk about money in a way that actually represents and respects what you're going through. No amount of money is ever going to replace a person. But damages are the legal system's way of measuring what was taken and what your family needs going forward. And here's the trap: you don't get unlimited do overs. If you settle too early, you can't come back later and say, "We didn't realize how big this was or how much was involved." In Illinois, wrongful death cases, the statute explicitly allowed damages tied to pecuniary injuries, including grief, sorrow, mental suffering, and it also references punitive damages when applicable in cases. So, what does that mean in real life? It means that your claim often includes economic losses, like medical bills related to the final injury, funeral and burial expenses, lost income and benefits that your loved one would have provided, and loss of services such as childcare, home support. Non-economic losses also are included, such as loss of companionship, loss of guidance for children, and grief, sorrow, and mental suffering. And if your loved one was a primary provider, you'll likely need professionals, economists, vocational experts, to project what wages were lost over time. But even when money isn't the core issue for your family, documenting damages still matters because it forces the case to represent reality. Here's a practical thing you can do starting today. Start a loss file, a simple folder, a paper or digital folder with funeral invoices, medical bills, pay stubs, tax returns, benefit information, notes about what changed in your home and your day-to-day life, and a running list of the moments that now look different without them around. Not because you're building a sob story, but because you're building the truth. Remember this about step 3. You're making sure that the case reflects the full cost of what was taken, not the insurance company's cheapest version of it. Now, for the step that quietly ruins cases, even when the evidence is strong, deadlines and filing. File on time and with the right person involved. Illinois generally gives you 2 years from the date of the death to file a wrongful death action, with specific statutory exceptions in certain situations. That sounds like a long time until it isn't, because families spend months in shock, understandably. They're planning services, they're handling work and kids, they're waiting for insurers to review the claim and hoping they get back to them. And then you look up and realize that the calendar has been sprinting. But timing isn't the only issue. Who files matters also. Under the Illinois Wrongful Death Act, the action is brought by and in the name of a personal representative of the deceased person. That means that even if you're the spouse, the parent, the adult child, there's an estate process component here. If the personal representative is not properly appointed, the case can stall or get challenged. And delays matter because the defense doesn't need to win on the facts if they can win on procedure. So step 4 is about 2 things. Don't gamble. Even if you think the exception applies, you do not want to be the family arguing about it after time runs out. Get the right person in place early. If probate or the estate appointment is needed, start it. Don't let the paperwork be the reason that you lose a case that you should have won. So here's a recap on what to do next. Here's the full play, clean and simple. Lock down evidence immediately. Prove fault with the story that survives blame shifting. Document every category of damages, economic and human. File on time and file correctly. And if you're in the situation now, here's the most important thing to hear. You don't have to be ready emotionally to protect your case or even to start it. You just need a plan and the right help from an experienced lawyer so that you don't lose options you can never go back and get. Now, if your loss involves a truck accident, the next question is always the same. How do you actually prove that the truck driver or the trucking company was at fault? Because the evidence is different, the rules are different, and the defense playbook is aggressive. So watch this next video on truck accident fault in Illinois, where I'll walk you through the specific records and patterns that usually make or break those cases, so that you know what to do to preserve what to demand from day one. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful, and we'll see you in the next one.